this full screen mode. All right. Well, at this time, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Tracy McMahon from AdventureBags. Tracy McMahon, how are you doing? You're on live with the Rotary Club of Winder.
Hello, everyone. Thank y'all for having me. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to share my screen. Please let me know, Ben, if y'all can see it. You got it? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have the pleasure of having the floor today to talk about two things that are near and dear to my heart. That is the Department of Family and Children's Services, and of course, Barrow County's Department of Family and Children's Services, who actually just recently got a building, or new building, but they have not been able to really enjoy in it due to the pandemic. So I've worked with the agency going on 21 years now, and still going strong, but my heart started at Barrow DFAX in the small building off Lee Street that was, I've always said, put together with basically, you know, next to nothing. It was a 2 double wide stuck together. So I'm very happy and elated that they got a new building. But I also have two friends with me today, Elizabeth Hendricks and Haviland Foley. I apologize if I've said those names wrong, but Elizabeth has had the opportunity to speak with us before, and I just think that this is something that always needs to continue to be in the forefront of us in Rotary and community, especially as it relates to us serving others. Elizabeth is going to first start today talking about Barrow DFAX and how the Rotary Club can be an integral part in working with this agency and supporting our children across the county. And y'all also, I want y'all to know that she is actually on medical leave right now. She just literally had some surgery and did not hesitate or waver to continue to come on and talk to y'all today. So I appreciate her doing that. I told her she didn't have to, that I could finagle my way through it, but she has insisted. And she also has a foster parent that's going to be speaking with us probably in the next 10 minutes or so. She's going to be coming on and giving experiences that she's had as it relates to being a foster parent. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Miss Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, you just tell me when you want me to move the screens.
Hey everybody, this is Elizabeth. Thank you guys for having us and just having the time to share, like Tracy said, what's near and dear to our hearts. So Haviland has been working for the agency for 3 years. She just came over to the RD unit, which is Resource Development, also known as CREW, Caregiver Retention Unit. And I have been with DFAX for 7 years. So I just celebrated my 7th anniversary March 1st. So I've had quite a few years of experience just in different aspects of DFAX. But today we're going to specifically talk about foster care, teens in foster care, hoteling, and then how it kind of involves you guys and what we are needing for Barrow County. So I want to give you guys some information. If you'll go to the next slide. These are going to be, so if you'll go back, I'm going to introduce Kim. So Kim Lafreniere is the county director at Barrow County DFAX. So if you ever have any questions about the building, about processes, about anything, reporting, all of that, Kim Lafreniere is your go-to person. She also has an admin, which is in social services, Sarah Landers. I'm sure you guys are familiar with her. She was the supervisor for assessments, which just means that she did a lot of the investigations and things like that. She's now under Kim. And then here's my information. So if you guys ever have any questions about DFAX, need to report something, how to get in contact with somebody, these are just some information that you can take down so you have it. The next slide. So I'm going to be specifically talking about Region 5. Region 5 is built up of 12 counties, which obviously includes Barrow, and then the surrounding counties, Jackson, Madison, Albert, Oglethorpe, Oconee, Walton, Greene, Morgan, Newton, and Rockdale. So we are all within Region 5. You can go to the next one. So these are just some of the known facts about DFACS, and actually some known facts that aren't always known, that all children in DFACS custody, so all children who are considered foster children, are all children under the state. So there is not, private agencies don't have any special kids over there. They're all coming from DFACS. So when a child is removed within the DFACS custody, then they are brought into foster care. So we're responsible as the state agency to be providing care for all of those foster children. Those range from 0 to 18. And then after 18, if they decide that they would like to stay in foster care, they can have that choice to do so. So we have a program that after 18 goes to 18 to 21, where they can get their college paid for. They can get an apartment. We just basically provide them services and support as they enter into adulthood. So it's not, oh, you turn 18, we're kicking you to the curb. We also have the process of, if you do not feel comfortable, then we will walk you through the first few years of adulthood and college. And also, you know, at 18, kids can also decide if they want to sign out. We do have a lot of kids that sign out of care and they do return back to their parents. Unfortunately, that's normal, especially when that's all they've known. So if they're not in a good foster home or an adoptive placement, then that's usually what will happen. They will just return back to their parents at 18. The most common reasons for children entering foster care is abuse and neglect. Neglect falls under educational neglect. It goes under poverty and things like that. And obviously substance abuse is our number one. So just the drugs and the alcohol that we deal with in Barrow County is very high. I would probably say, and Haviland, you might be able to help me better with this, Barrow County is probably like number one drug is meth.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. So that is what we're dealing with on a regular basis. Probably out of 5 cases, I would say at least 2 to 3 of them are dealing with substance abuse. From meth to opiates, we have a lot of pill issues in the area. So those are kind of the basics that we're dealing with within Barrow County. We also don't take any children out of their care of their parents without having a judge's order. So I think that there's the myth that DFACS just removes kids because that's what we like to do. And that is a huge myth. We have to have a court order before we can remove any children from any parental care. So that is from grandparents, that's from parents. We cannot physically move any children without having a judge's signature on that. So we have to have that before we're able to remove any kids. So if you ever hear a parent say, yeah, DFACS just came and took my kids, they do whatever they want, that is not true. We are stamped and approved by the judge, and we also have other people we have to answer to. So the goal is always to reunify our kids with their biological parents. I would say about 80% of our foster children do get to go back home. So after their parents are able to work services, counseling, parenting, anything that we're able to help them, get them in substance abuse treatment so that they're able to return home, that is our number one goal. Probably about 20% go to I would probably say 19% go to relatives. And then 1% is our adoption rate for DFACS. So only about 1% of the cases that we have will actually go through to an adoption where the foster parents can adopt. The other ones we're always just trying to place with the closest relative or somebody evictive kin, which can be a baseball coach, a basketball coach, a teacher, anybody that's in this child's life that is able to bond with them and keep those connections. I did touch on this. Private agencies, they're called CPAs, child placing agencies. They have the same kids that DFACS has. So if you're with Bethany Christian, Uniting Hope for Children, All God's Children, all of those kids are all DFACS children. So there's not any difference between DFACS children and CPAs or private agency kids. And then Haviland.
So my name's Haviland. As Elizabeth said, I worked in Barrow County primarily in Child Protective Services and as an investigator for almost 3 years, and now I'm with the crew team. But I kind of wanted to just talk a little bit about Adventure Bags and give you some firsthand knowledge about how appreciated they are and how they impact kids when they get that adventure bag. So I kind of want you to just take a moment and imagine that someone showed up at your front door and told you that you were leaving. You had maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get some things together. You had no idea where you were going. You didn't know why you were going, or you were confused about that. And then think about how you would feel in that situation. So just take a minute to think about that. And I don't know if we can talk back and forth on here, but I would love to hear about how some of you think you would react in that situation. Anybody want to take a stab at it?
I'd be mad.
Lynn said she'd be mad.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times when a caseworker is in this situation with kids, you know, you try to tell them that things are going to be okay, that they're going to see their family again. But I mean, as a child, I don't know that I would even believe that in that situation. So when we get them back to the office or wherever we're going, and we're able to give them a bag of stuff that belongs to them, it's something that they can have that is theirs. No one's going to take it from them. They know that they have something that they can still hold on to remind them that everything is going to be okay. I had a family that I unfortunately removed a boy and a girl, and, you know, we got back to the office and they were just like, what do we do now? You know, where do we go from here? And I gave them their adventure bags and they kind of started digging through them and picking stuff out. And it really, you could tell how quickly they went from being, you know, pretty panicked about the situation to refocusing on something that kind of connected them with being a child again, when in a lot of these situations, they haven't been able to be kids because they've been dealing with a parent struggling with substance abuse. They've been in an abusive home. So I just kind of wanted you guys to know that those are really impactful. It's an amazing thing that we have the ability to do for these kids, and it really does make a difference in a time of crisis for them.
Thanks, Haviland. And I'm going to introduce our foster parent, Miss Kimberly Fowler. And she is going to speak to us specifically about some teens. So she has been able to foster some of our teen kids. And I just feel like this is prevalent information because everybody has the persona that teens are bad. They're so hard to foster. So I just wanted to give you guys an actual foster parent that is actively in our area. She's out of Oconee and within Region 5, and she's going to speak to you guys for a few minutes. Thanks, Kim.
Hello. I think you're right. I think people have sometimes the wrong idea about teens and why they're in care. A lot of people that have asked me about fostering teens, they're always asking, why would you let a kid in your house that's been into juvie? Well, that's not always the case. Teens are in care because they've been there for they've been there for a while, and no one's and TPR has taken place and no one's been interested in adopting. We have a kid that's been in care since he was 9 years old. And we actually looked at the website not too long ago, just looking through, see what kids are out there in the state of Georgia to be adopted, ready for adoption. And we came across this kid that's been in care since he was 9 years old. No, since he was 4 years old. And no issues, just neglect. He's a good kid. He's recently moved in our home back in just in January. He was doing visits prior to that. Good kid, good grades, no issues. They just want love. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to give opinions, good and bad. But they just want a normal life, just like my biological kids have or had growing up. Prior to this one kid, 2.5 years ago, we adopted two brothers, a sibling group that we were fostering. And again, they were not in care because of something they've done. They were in care because of neglect, because they were living off the street in a car. They didn't know when their next meal was going to be or where it came from. Good boys, both active in sports in high school. I have one that just we did adopt, but I do have one that will be graduating in 2022, and he's already signed with the National Guard, wanting to make something of himself. We've had kids in our home that have, on emergency situations, that have had come in with ankle bracelets. Kid's not bad. The ankle bracelet was there because he ran. He just wanted it. They want attention. Again, they want to be heard. They want to be loved. So it's not always about something they've done. It's about situations that they don't know how to handle and that are out of their control. And our heart going into fostering years ago was for teenagers. And some people thought we were crazy, but, and we are, but it's okay because we're able to give these teenagers a life that they deserve. And give them something that they didn't have then. And we get daily from all three teenage boys, thank you. Thank you for adopting me. Thank you for taking me in. Thank you for saying yes. Even we see kids that we've taken in on respite situations or emergency situations where we've seen them circle through before, and they'll say, thank you for letting me stay at your house that night. Just, because they were able to eat, they were able to have a bed to sleep on. They felt like somebody cared, and that's all the teenagers are looking for. So if they're doing something bad, it's usually them acting out to get that attention from someone so that someone is caring about them. They want to feel cared about and they want to be loved.
Thank you so much, Kim. So when I was speaking to Kim Lafreniere, the Barrow County Director, she said, I just asked what she wanted for Rotary to know. And she brought up teens. She's like, we have so many teens that stay in hotels. We have so many teens that stay at the office. And so she's like, if the Rotary Club could come together and just basically help us either find foster parents for teens, or if there are people within Rotary that are interested in fostering teens, that's where our need is currently. I'm going to let Kim go, but I wanted to see if you guys, anybody out there, had questions for Kim before she does go.
Any questions?
I'd like to know how many children she's fostered.
Was that how many children she's fostered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Kim, how many kids have you gone?
Okay, so we started out with two brothers that are siblings, and we adopted them. Then we found out they have younger sisters, twin set of sisters who are now 2 years old. So we took them in. We had them placed with us and took them in. And then they had a baby sister who was just born last year, and we have her now. So, and then we've added another kid from another region. So a total of 6 fosters and probably 4 emergency situation placement, like short-term placements.
Is that in all the years of experience, how many kids you've had?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions for Kim?
Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Kim, just before you leave, I know you've got to go, but we do have at the very end where we're donating some books. And I believe Miss Beth has a book in your honor for supporting our children in foster care and for speaking
Thank
with
you.
us today.
Thank
And-
you so much. Thank you.
Just so you know, before we leave, this is when I'm bigger, Mama Bear.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate your service.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Okay, so I'm going to keep going. We've got Homein5. So Homein5 is an agent, or it's a nonprofit that was founded within Region 5. So it was some foster parents, we had some DFAC staff, we had some state office staff that were like, Region 5 has so much potential. We've got so many great resources within Region 5. Let's do more. So we have, it's a public-private partnership within foster care. So it brings awareness, it's got foster homes information, and then just how you can support Region 5 is all found on there. So if you guys are interested in more information about how to partner with us, how to get involved, I would love for you guys to check out Homein5. And there's a Facebook, so we're always providing information about it. We're also like just putting stuff about like foster parent appreciation, foster parent awareness month, foster child a month, things like that. So we've got Homein5.net, and then we've also got the Home in Region 5 at Facebook. So I would love for you guys to check that out. So these are just some goals for us. We're always trying to keep sibling groups together. Just like Kim said, she started out with 2, they got 2 more, and then they got 1 more. So they were willing to keep all 5 siblings together, which is amazing. And that is what our #1 goal is, because when you are disconnected from your parents, what is the next thing you want? You want your sibling bond. You want somebody that knows you, has been through the same thing. So sibling bonds and keeping siblings are so important for us. I kind of went through how we have teens that are on honor roll. We have teens that are in group homes because people aren't willing to. We just don't have enough foster homes that are willing to take teens or go out on the limb to try to foster teens because of the persona that they have. And thankfully, we do have some within Region 5, but just not enough to house all of our teens. Tracy, you can go to the next one. So I wanted to specifically talk about Region 5. So Barrow right now, this is as of last week, Barrow has 35 CPA homes, which is our private agency home, Bethany Christian, All God's Children, Nightlight, all of those. And then we've got 17 DFACS homes. So in Region 5, or in Barrow County, we have a total of 52 foster homes. Now, I can tell you that we don't have just 52 kids in foster care. So we would love to have more than 52 foster homes in DFACS. And we don't care if it's through DFACS or a CPA, a private agency. We are just always looking to recruit and to just broaden our foster homes because there's a great need for it. So right now we've got 4 kinship homes. So those are relatives, or they're with the basketball coach or the teacher. And then we've got the 35 CPA homes. So right now, when I asked Kim Lafreniere, the county director, she said there are 107 foster children in Barrow County that have been removed. So out of all the kids, 107. So if we only have 52 foster homes, where are those other 50 plus kids going? They're going outside of our region or outside of Barrow County, which is not fair. They need to stay within their schools. They need to stay within their teachers and people that know them in their community. So that's why we're always trying to go to community outreaches and make sure that everybody is aware the need for a foster home and a need for foster families to take in more children. Right now, we've got 862 foster children in care within Region 5. So out of the 12 counties that are surrounding Barrow, we have 862 children in care. Out of Region 5, we have a total of 403 foster homes. So out of all of the CPA homes and all of the DFACS homes, there's a total of 403. So that's just 2 kids. Like if we could have, because all 862 kids are not in Region 5. They're in Atlanta, they're in Macon, they're in Augusta, they're in Savannah, they're in North Georgia. They're not in Region 5. If we had enough homes that would be willing to take 2 children, we would be able to place all 862 kids within Region 5. And that is our goal. That is why we started Homein5, because we want our kids to stay in Region 5. These are just kind of numbers of the number of foster homes. So you see Barrow County is pretty good on 25 to 40 homes for foster homes. Walton County, Newton County, Clark, Jackson, and Madison. Our smaller counties, but more rural, Elbert, Oglethorpe, Greene, and Morgan, they are lower for like, I think right now there's about 3 homes in Greene that are foster families. So there is a need on all of these outside counties for foster homes because we're removing kids from there too. But if we have 400 kids in Clark County that are removed, we could easily place them in Oconee or Oglethorpe if we were able to produce more foster homes in those areas. Okay, so Kim Fowler actually did talk about respite care. She said that she had done respite a few times. So respite is just a short-term care. It's basically a foster parent is either going to go on vacation or they're going out of town and they need somebody to watch their foster children. Or it's just an emergency placement. You know, it's short term, it's time limited, it's giving the family a break to go on vacation, to take a couples trip, whatever that might look like. So respite care is the short term. Emergency care is when we have a child that is entering foster care in the middle of the night, or they are entering care right after school. You know, the school calls us and says, hey, this is the situation. We go out there, we assess them. We're like, yes, this kid cannot get on the bus and they cannot be returned home. So we don't have a lot of time to prep for that. So it might be the weekends. It might be 2 a.m. We're getting a call. Barrow County Sheriff's Office did a drug bust and they've got 5 kids in this meth home. We're having to go out there at 2 a.m. and remove these kids. So we're needing those emergency and respite homes for instances like that, just a night. You know, if you have a bed and you're like, okay, I'm willing to take some kids because I know in the middle of the night, they don't want to sleep out at the office. But this also leads me to hotels. So I want to talk to you guys about hoteling. In the state of Georgia, we have a system where we do not like kids to sleep at the office, which rightfully so. Nobody should be sleeping on a hard chair or on a couch in an unfamiliar place in an office. So after so many efforts and so many calls to foster parents, we have to go through so many lists and so many names. There can be a hotel that we're able to get approved. So it's got to go through a few chains of command. We have to send our efforts before it can get approved. But this is where the majority of our teens stay, because we don't have the foster parents that are willing to go out on a limb and take these teens in. So for instance, I had a case and it was 2018. He stayed in a hotel for an entire month during the summer. So because school wasn't in, he was in the hotel with the provider, because DFACS cannot supervise children in hotels. We have to get a third party involved, which they get $35 per hour to supervise our kids. So $35 on top of whatever the hotel is. So he stayed an entire month in Athens at the hotel. It was $22,000 for him to stay in the hotel for that month. We also had 2 teen girls a few weeks ago. They were not, one was Jackson County and one was Barrow County. And they needed supervision. So we had 2 people stay with them. So it was 2 supervision. And then we had them in a hotel for 2 weeks, and it was $15,000. Now, that's a lot of money when you're talking about a foster child that's already in foster care. So there's already an expense with that, state funded, federal funding. And then on top, we have to pay for a hotel. We have to pay for supervision for those people that are watching our kids. So I kind of want to let you guys know the expenses that come with fostering and not being able to place our teens, because there is a need. There's a great need. I was looking through some data, and it looks like in a typical month, and it's not just Georgia, it's Florida, it's Alabama. In hoteling expenses, it's almost $1 million a month that goes towards hoteling. $1 million that could go towards services for parents, services for our foster children, more case managers, because we need, DFACS is always understaffed and we're always trying to recruit DFACS case managers. So I just kind of wanted you guys to know where the need is. And our teens are where the need is right now. So if you guys are interested, here are some things that you guys can, CASA, they're great. We partner with CASA. A lot of our foster children get CASAs. And then there are some other things that you guys can do to get involved. So it's going to say, here are just some quick requirements. If you have a daughter, a sister, a niece and nephew, your cousin, your great cousin, if they are good parents to their own children and they have extra bed space, we would love to talk to them about getting approved to be a foster parent. So just like no DFACS history, no criminal history, income, things like that. Those are all things that we are looking at. You can go to the next one. And then these are all the other agencies that we partner with. So Community Connections, Chris 180, Hillside, Georgia Mentor. These are all private agencies that are on our Homein5 page if you're also interested in getting connected with a private agency. So because we're all working for the same goal. We want these kids with people that are within their community and keep these kids together and can provide services for them.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was very, a lot of information regarding how we can do it. I specifically asked Elizabeth if she could speak a lot about the money that we spend in hoteling and the money and the need for our teens. So I appreciate her taking the time to add this in. I believe this is something that the Rotary Club has every ability to help bridge that gap and to bring people to the table, even if it's just for respite overnight visitations. So before we close out, I just kind of wanted to, I've put her information in the chat and I'll also email it to Ben. But I wanted to talk a little bit about AdventureBags what Haviland had spoke about earlier into it. So I won't go into a lot of detail because I know we're getting short on time and want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to ask a couple of questions as well. So AdventureBags is obviously linked up with the Department of Family and Children Services. It's been, it all started in about October of 2011 in this little building that you see here on the screen. It was on my mother's property. She passed away in June of 2019, and Misty Manus, the executive director, took over to fund that, or not fund, to work this nonprofit. At this point, there's no employees, nobody gets paid. It's specifically volunteer and community donation run. We're hoping to, if we're blessed and the stars align and God provides, we'll be able to have a full-time employee come on board, and we hope that to be Misty so that we can do this full time. But it started in her home after I had the misfortune of having to go to Los Angeles to pick up a sibling group of 3. And when I did, they came to me with a trash bag filled with their random belongings. And this was just unacceptable to me. And so I came home, spoke to my mom about it, and, you know, almost 10 years later, it's still going strong. So this is the board member. We have a lot of different community partners not only within Barrow County, but with our surrounding counties with different disciplines and different opportunities for knowledge to be able to help us move forward. So of course, the mission is to help local domestic violence shelters, fire departments, group homes, Department of Family and Children Services, children's shelters, to give them these backpacks to be able to have something for them to call their own, like Haviland said, in situations that they have absolutely no control over. And so you can see since 2011, we started with pretty much just Region 5. And now you see to the section to the right, we've been able to serve over 37,000 children across the state of Georgia. Last year alone, even during the pandemic, we were able to serve about 30,000 children, not 30,000, excuse me, 3,000 children. So that was a really good thing we were able to do to our community. I won't go over this because I think Haviland did a great job of explaining what would you do if something happened to you in the middle of the night and you had to, and that you had to do this on your own. What would you take with you? And, you know, what would that feel like? So I think Haviland gave an example of that. I'm going to show you just a very quick video. It's no more than a minute that just gives you a glimpse of what these children go through when at times they are requested to leave their homes. So Ben, let me know. Hopefully y'all can hear it on your end.
Sometimes someone hurts you so bad, it stops hurting at all. Until something makes you feel again. And then it all comes back. Every word, every hurt, every moment. How could you ever understand where I come from? Even if you ask, even if you listen, you do not really hear or see or feel. You don't remember my story. You haven't walked my path. You haven't seen what I've seen.
And so I wanted to share that very briefly to let y'all know that this is a real reality that our children face. This is just one example of the things that happen with our children that are faced with situations that are absolutely beyond their control, that they have no ability to fix or make themselves feel better. So we know that every day across the nation, children are being displaced for one reason or another. And this is why AdventureBags was started, to be able to give them something to hold, to call their own, and to help them feel something positive when they're in situations that they have absolutely no control over. So what goes in the adventure bags? This is just some pictures that are actually of our bags that we had professionally taken. And this gives you everything that is actually in the bag. They're age and gender specific. So the bags have specific items that are specific for that age group. For instance, the teenage girls actually have hygiene items and feminine hygiene items in them, so that they don't have to ask a stranger for something that personal. There's journals, there's coloring books, there's adult coloring books, there's diapers, there's wipes for our infants. Our toddlers have toothbrushes. Well, all of them have toothbrushes, but toddlers have surprise bags in them as well. And every child has a blanket to take with them. And this is at no charge to the agencies that serve these children. There is not a single dollar that someone has to give us in order to provide these bags. Now that we are partnering with agencies to give these bags, not specific individuals, but there's no cost to them. And that's why it's so important that we get collaborative efforts to continue this mission. I'm not going to go over all these different things that people have said, but I'll be sending Ben the PowerPoint if he wishes to change it and send it on. But this is a picture up here of a little boy who we received a picture from the foster parent when they opened up the adventure bags for him. And of course the picture, his little face is smiley faced over, but he was excited about the little dinosaur that we gave him. A lot of our kids, from a 16-year-old leaving Georgia to go back home to his family, had nothing, and we gave them his adventure bags to get back home with. And the social services case manager identified how much he appreciated that they were able to provide it. And again, it's for us to have the agencies bridge the gap and build the rapport with those children that they serve. We don't necessarily want the recognition. We want that parent who's in the homeless shelter giving that bag to their child to get the recognition. We want the DFACS case manager who's trying to comfort this child and build a rapport to be able to say they're giving them this bag to help them feel comfortable. We want our law enforcement officers to have something on scene to give a child while they're dealing with a mom or a dad who is in a traffic accident or is being arrested for drug trafficking. We want our community partners to use this as a resource for them. And of course, I just kind of went over that. We know it helps our children, but how does it help our partners? And we just spoke a little bit about that. I can send this information to Ben, but we have age and gender specific items that always go in our bags. And so we would love the opportunity for you guys to help us with different types of ways you can give back to Adventure Bags. You can volunteer to help processing the donations. You can count inventory. You can have a book bag packing party. You can help us deliver bags. And of course, if we have busy families and busy lives, if you just want to give monetary donations, that's absolutely helpful as well. We just appreciate anything that the community can do to help us continue our mission. We're going on 10 years strong, and I have no doubt we'll keep going, but we could not do it without our community partners. So the three campaigns we're doing now our Help Us Help Heroes campaign. This is essentially a campaign where we're reaching out to our local law enforcement officers and also our fire departments to be able to provide our bags to our law enforcement agencies across the region. So we are currently working with every law enforcement agency within Region 5 and starting to build a relationship so we can provide these bags for them. And we're also connecting with our churches to be able to have a strong partnership with them to build the resources around our mission, which also we will be doing is incorporating the need for foster parents at these events as well. It's a collective process, it's a collective approach, and we need the foster parents to be able to also serve our children and to give these bags to our children. And we're also looking for corporate and monthly sponsorships. Where essentially we are trying to reach out to different corporate agencies and see if they'd be willing to do a $50 a month donation, $25 a month donation. Each bag is roughly about $50. in order to provide a child. And again, we are not asking for any money to give these agencies, but it does cost money. And so we're trying to do sort of a purchase a bag campaign with our local community businesses and also our businesses across Region 5. So again, we promise you that the impact is worth all the hard work from our community donors and our volunteers. Anything you as an individual or as Rotary does to help not only Miss Elizabeth and DFACS and Barrow County recruit foster parents to helping us be able to provide these bags is absolutely definitely appreciated. Our foster parents are the glue oftentimes to keep our children in the community, but also safe and protected. And we would much rather have them in Barrow County where their home base is than have to send them somewhere else. So even if respite care is something you might be interested in for a weekend or for a night, please don't hesitate to reach out to Elizabeth. It's a process, but it can mean the world to a foster family who needs time off, or a teenager that has been brought into care and does not have a place to go, and we don't want to put them in a hotel where it's a sterile environment with a parent aide who they know nothing about. So I appreciate your time and your opportunity to allow us to speak today. I know we've gone over a little bit, but I wanted to open it up to see if you had any questions before we closed out.
All right. Let's give Tracy AdventureBags and the ladies a big round of applause.